Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. All right, let's dive into the day's top headlines. Government agencies responded with caution to the Office of Personnel Management's request that federal workers provide 5 bullet points about what they accomplished last week by the end of the day Monday. The Securities and Exchange Commission gave workers a template to follow. The General Services Administration and Department of Commerce told employees not to send classified information, links, or attachments, and the Department of Defense told employees to pause responses for the time being, all according to emails obtained by FedScoop and agency statements. At least some agencies ultimately told employees participation wasn't required. According to a Monday email sent to SEC employees that FedScoop obtained, leaders were told verbally by OPM that responding to the message was voluntary. Department of Health and Human Services and Department of Justice employees were also informed that responses weren't necessary, per an HHS email viewed by FedScoop and a DOJ spokesperson. The varying agency approaches appear to reflect the sensitivity of certain government work, as well as concern for security and how the information will be used. In the event that employees chose to respond to the message, HHS went as far as telling workers they should, quote, assume that what you write will be read by malign foreign actors and tailor your response accordingly. The initial request from OPM came in the form of an email titled, "What did you do last week?" which arrived in the inboxes of federal workers over the weekend, per a copy viewed by FedScoop. That message asked each worker for roughly 5 bullet points about what they accomplished last week, told employees not to send classified information, and gave them a deadline of Monday at 11:59 p.m. to respond. News that the email was coming was first announced on X by Elon Musk, a senior advisor to President Donald Trump who's had immense influence in the early days of the administration. The X owner posted Saturday that the emails would be sent shortly and that, quote, failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. The prospect of termination, however, was not ultimately part of the emails sent to employees. In other news, technical systems housed within USAID may be transferred to the State Department, including those related to global health, a source familiar with the matter told FedScoop, with about 40 systems potentially impacted by the transition. The USAID.gov website has now been updated to note the long-anticipated reduction in force of the agency, noting that approximately 1,600 personnel are now on administrative leave. A small group within the agency seems to be involved in discussions related to transferring technical assets to the State Department. Some of those systems might end up on OneNet, a global network state uses for data applications. A platform called AidNet may also be shut down, the source added. A privacy impact assessment for that system explains the platform is a data and file storage system for the agency. A system that supports the president's emergency plans for AIDS relief, which USAID has historically helped implement, may also be impacted. Some of the programs under that program recently received approval to continue work. The impending systems transfers are the latest IT-related changes at USAID amid the Trump administration's rapid downsizing of the agency. Earlier this month, some USAID employees saw their technology systems shut down, and those who remain at the agency reported last week that their communications now include a sensitive but unclassified label that they cannot remove. And on top of all that, access to payment systems has also been limited. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit FedScoop.com. The Daily Scoop podcast is available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with brand new episodes. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.